Hello players, welcome to another video on APWARS. Today's video is fully dedicated to impermanent loss. We want to help you understand how impermanent loss works and how you can work that in your favor if you ever come to use the farms that you can find in many protocols, not only APWARS. So let's jump right into the topic. As a general disclaimer, allow me to state that all of the links that will be showcased in this video will be available in the video description below. Go ahead and use them to your liking. Moreover, in this video, you will see and be able to work with a calculator that will give you all the information that you need to compute your impermanent loss, regardless of the protocol that you're working on. So let's jump right in. If you Google it and check it online, you will find different impermanent loss calculators. All of them do pretty much the same. You state the initial prices, the future prices of the tokens that you have provided, and in the end, it will give you a result. For this example, I'm just going to use Decent Yield's impermanent loss calculator, which gives you a really good idea of how it works. However, it's very, let's say, boring because you have to use this tool every single time that you want to have your tokens calculated and how is your impermanent loss being affected based on the evolution of your token. So let's jump into the example. Let's say that you are depositing $1,000 in the pool and that when you first started you had $1,000 initially. This means that you have deposited $500 of Ethereum and $500 of USDT in that pool. Let's say that Ethereum price changed of 100%. That means that it went to 2 times the initial price that you had, which was, let's say, $500. It's hard to think about that in these moments, but well, let's not forget that Ethereum used to cost below $500. So if you calculate that, you'll get lots of values that you have to interpret that. And then if you want to check it again, you need to, okay, let's say if Ethereum increases by 3 times, what'll be my impermanent loss? And so on and so forth. What this does not give you is, man, how many days do I need to compensate for this with my current APR or APY? Rest assured, APWARS will give you the tools for that. As you know, APWARS is basically the battle for APRs, and in all of our farms, you will have these relatively high and really interesting APRs. And you might be wondering, how is impermanent loss affecting me? Which pool should I use? Should I use stablecoin? Should I use token-based only pools? Should I use different pools? Should I use other pools, liquidity pools, that are basically using only game items? We will give you all the answers to these questions in this video. So, jumping into the calculator, let's say that you want to use the same example, $1,000, and that your APR is, at the time being, your APR is about, for the initial gold mine, is 456, just like introduced here. That gives you a daily APR of 1.25%, and that you bought the token at 1 cent. It really doesn't matter which token you use, okay? This example, this sheet here is for liquidity pools that use a token and a stable coin. Okay, this will make it easier, and we'll explain later how you can basically do the math if you don't want to use a stable coin and want to use a different token. So basically what you want to do here is, you see here that you have price decrease and price increase. Okay, so let's say we always want the price to increase, right? So let's say that the price increased by 10%. That basically gives you a ratio of 1.1% increase. So if you bought the token at 1 cent, it's now worth 1.1 cents. If your initial pool was $1,000, it's now worth 1,048. But if you have held the tokens in your wallet, you would have had, instead of 1,048, you would have had 1,050. So what's your impermanent loss? $2, which is about 0.2%. How many days do you need to compensate for that while you're farming, you might ask? Well, a fifth of a day, basically. So this will give you, in 5 hours, you already compensated for this loss. Let's say that you're a little bit more of a enthusiast and are really considering that your token, the token that you choose, whether be it War Gold, of course, because that's an easy one, or another one, it's going to do a 10x. That's a 100% increase in change in value. So if the token was before 1 cent, now it's worth 2 cents. Now in the pool, you have $1,414. If you would have held the token in your wallet, both tokens, so the USDT and the token that you bought, you would have had $1,500. What's the difference? 86. That gives you an impermanent loss of 5.6%. How many days do you need to compensate for this? About 5 days, rounded off. So if you think that your token will be doubling in 5 days and that you want to sell it immediately, well, don't farm. That's really hard to have. So a token doubling in price already at this time being can be challenging to find, but still, no worries on that. You are the one doing your own research, and you are the one assessing how a token can evolve in time in terms of price. So let's say that you're thinking that your token is going to do at least a 10x. Okay, this is really fair for War Gold because the token all-time high surpassed the 10 cents even, so it's a 10x. So let's say that you want to do a 10x, so that means that your token that you bought at 1 cent is now at 10 cents. You are having in your liquidity pool $3,162 instead of having $5,500. Well, that's a difference in price of 2,338, which rounds off to about 42% of impermanent loss. It is a lot. How many days do you need to compensate for this loss? 34 days if you have this APR. So if you think that your token is going to do a 10x before a month's time, rounded, then it might be worth keeping it. But how can you be that sure? If you're not that sure, think about it again, and it might be worth to at least farm some and maybe leave the rest in your wallet, or just farm all of it and take the chances, because while you're farming, you're also maximizing your profit because you're getting a reward back. Never forget about that. So let's imagine that your token is not gaining value, but it is losing value. And just for the sake of it, I'm going to use this ratio here, just to give you an example, that the token price devalues in about 25%. So that's a ratio of 0.75. You would see here, this is rounded off, so the real number is actually 0.0075. So the current pool value will be about this price, so $866, instead of having 875. So as you can see, you lose money on the way up and you lose money on the way down. Nevertheless, how many days would you need to compensate for this 25% drop? Well, a day. Let's imagine that the token, pretty much like what happened in the last few days, that we had a crash in the market, that the token dropped of about 50% in price. If you would have held it in your wallet, you would have had 750 out of the initial 1,000 that you put in. Now that you have a liquidity, that you're providing liquidity, you have only 707. That gives you a price difference of $43. So impermanent loss of about 5.7%. Well, no brainer. Between the ups and downs of the prices, I'm sure 5 days have passed and you have made up for all your impermanent loss by farming for about 4.6 days. Do not forget that this APR is non-compounded, so this is the worst case scenario that you will find. If you are able to compound your earnings, you will have less days to compensate for your impermanent loss. So these values are the max values that you would be getting should the APR stay the same or increase. If the APR is decreasing in time, you might find that in some of the pools, not the War Gold pools, but some other pools, you will see that, well, you might need to think on the worst case scenario. So let's say that in time, the pool is going to reduce. Instead of having 456%, I'm going to have 356%. Basically it. Okay, so you will be using this percentage. So you'll be, instead of having 356, you will have, 456, you'll have 356, then you'll need more days to compensate for this, of course. So let's check how many days you would need. If you recall, it was about 34 days, and if the APR drops, you're going to need a few more days, about 10 more days to compensate for this. Again, to give you a bit of tip on how to farm this and saving the little bit of the best for last, what you can do here is, well, if you don't want to worry about using or having a lot of impermanent loss while providing liquidity for a stable coin or for a token that changes in price. So let's imagine that War Gold doubles in price and BNB drops in price. That's a 4-time ratio between them. So it's basically the equivalent of one of the tokens dropping 4 times. Okay, so be careful with that if you are providing liquidity with token to token, if these tokens have a change in price. Of course, you are gaining, you will be earning either depending on the evolution, but be careful because you might be losing money on the way up and losing money on the way down. So it's always your choice to make. What should you do or what can you do? Of course, if you provide liquidity for stable coins, you will not be having impermanent loss. What is the trick or the downside here is that the APRs, of course, are less appealing, and you have a deposit fee of 5% of your LP tokens, or LP token, your 4% of LP tokens that you deposited here will be automatically drawn from your wallet and will be used to buy back war gold to increase the Fed's treasury. And if you're wondering what the Fed is, it's basically the total price that warriors will win at the war. So this money is not 100% being used for the protocol. Okay, 90% of what the deposit fees are used to buy war gold to actually give back to the players who play the game, which is a really, really great incentive. What can you do if you don't want to suffer from permanent loss? And in the website, you have the prices of the warriors with respect to war gold, and these prices do tend to stay pretty much the same along the time. So when do these change? Of course, when a lot of people are buying warriors to stake them at the war contract, or after the war, if people are selling war gold that they have won, or even warriors. They want to sell some warriors to gain more war gold to stake in some of the pools. So these prices are likely to change during those times, but other than that, they're highly unlikely to suffer from a change. So what you can do is you buy war gold, you buy the side of your troop that you want to use, and you provide liquidity for this. You will not be suffering from impermanent loss, and you are still having a considerably high APR. Okay, guys? So the same goes for the other level. So the tier 2 armory specimens or units, you will be having crossbowmen, let's say, war gold liquidity pool, you are still getting 388% APR. Okay, be careful that this deposit, there is a deposit fee of 5% of 4% on your LP tokens. So be sure to stake them here if you are here for the long run. As you can see, this is just a test case. We have staked one of the pools in either of them. Okay, just for you guys to see. And you can also stake them anywhere you'd like in the protocol. Okay, this is for the gold mine. And if you want to farm gold, the main unit and currency of the game, you can use these gold mines. If you want to farm warriors, please be sure to buy some NFTs in the collection here. Okay, be sure to buy them before you stake your gold so you can save some gold when you stake. Okay, guys, again, hope you enjoyed the video. Play AppWars, come and talk with us and talk to everyone else in our Telegram channel. Follow us on Twitter, and as always, see you on the next one.